Today's focus is on the meaning of Christmas for seniors. And I thought I'd begin with a little humor. I take neither credit nor blame. This is another one from the chief. A minister announced that admission to a church social event would be $6 per person. However, he added, if you are over 65, the price will be only $5.50. From the back of the congregation, a woman's voice rang out, "Do you really think I give you that information for 50 cents? Aging is serious business, which is why I am making it the topic of today's sermon. Actually, it's the third segment of a trilogy. That is, if you think of our Thursday service, 4 p.m. Christmas Eve service, as an expression of the young. If you think of the 10 p.m. candlelight service as worship for those who can still stay up late and don't mind driving in the dark. And now today's service in broad daylight is about Christmas for those of us who feel that we are getting up there. Getting older is more of a challenge than I expected, and I've only just begun. It makes me feel like a friend of mine who, on her 70th birthday, said, "You know, just when you begin to get the hang of how you're supposed to live, you start to fall apart." Isn't that the truth? You spend years learning how to spend your money responsibly and how to use your time wisely, and then poof, your money turns into an implant, which only your dentist will admire. Your time is spent in doctor's offices, 4 appointments for 1 tooth. Someone who was writing out Christmas cards said, "I've made 8 new friends this year, and they all have one thing in common. Each of them has the letters MD at the end of their names." I can relate to that, can you? And then last but not least, your energy reserves get used up. And it's not fun. So as we age, we continually arrive at a crossroads, at which point we ask ourselves, who is going to win this battle? My body or my soul? This question comes long after people have stopped asking us, what are you going to do? And now instead we ask ourselves, who are we going to be in the midst of all these physical assaults? For many, the goal is to tough it out, to be the captain of our souls, the master of our fate, regardless of what ails us. Let us be invictus, the Latin word for unconquered. I think the poem, "I'm Fine, Thank You," is a perfect illustration of that triumphant spirit, and it's one of my mother's favorites. Here it is. Old age is golden, I've heard it said, but sometimes I wonder, as I get into bed, with my ears in the drawer, my teeth in the cup, my eyes on the table until I wake up, ere sleep overtakes me, I think to myself, is there anything else I could lay on the shelf? There's nothing the matter with me. I'm as healthy as can be. I have arthritis in both knees, and when I talk with a wheeze. My pulse is weak and my blood is thin. But I'm awfully well for the shape that I'm in. The moral is this: as my tale I unfold, that for you and for me who are fast growing old, it's better to say, I'm fine with a grin, than to let folks know the real shape that we're in. That's a wonderful mindset, stiff upper lip, do or die mentality. It fits in the state of Maine. It's a good way to live. But the question of this morning is it enough? Is it enough to be the spiritual master of one's physical fate? Is that the acme of all that life is meant to be? Not according to Simeon. That wasn't enough for him, because before he died, he wanted more. Simeon wanted more than to be the master of his own life. He wanted to see the master of life itself. He wanted to see the true master, the master of the universe, let alone about mastering his own life. That wasn't big enough for Simeon. He wanted it all. He wanted to know for himself that the consolation of Israel was about to begin. And he wanted to see the one who was going to bring it about. A couple of weeks ago here, I asked one of you a fairly random question. I asked it of someone who has traveled the world and has met many notable people of wide renown. And I asked him this question. I said, if you could meet anyone in the world at this stage in your life, someone whom you've never seen before, who still would you most want to see? And he thought, and he thought, and he couldn't come up with an answer. So after a while, he said, I assume what you mean by that question is, who are my heroes? And if that's what you are asking, he said, they're right here in this church. Each Christmas and throughout the year, in fact, no matter how old we are given the chance to see the Christ child with our own eyes. Sometimes, lots of times, we brush off the offer, having assumed that Christmas is for children. But other times, with the wisdom of Simeon, we know that his salvation is meant for us. Before we die, may we too look long enough. May we too seek hard enough, not only to be the master of our own physical fate, but to see the master of our spiritual one, to find his light and glory, and then to discover, as old Simeon did, that he's right here in our midst. Thanks be to God. Amen.